Hello and welcome to the We Are the Ants reading vlog. I started We Are the Ants right after Contemporary-a-thon finished, which I kind of regret because I feel like I could use it as a Contemporary-a-thon. I haven't finished it. I'm about 70 pages in. I started this vlog really late because I thought it was going to be one of those just random reads, but I ended up really enjoying myself in those 70 pages, and I have a lot of notes and I really like it, so I thought I'd start a reading vlog on it because it's, I don't know, it's fun and I wanted to do it. I went into this book thinking that I wasn't going to like it as much as other people have said that they liked it because there is the sci-fi element, but I've come to realize that the sci-fi aliens element of this book isn't as important as the character-driven depression slash grief side and the philosophical question of whether the world is worth saving. So I'm really enjoying it for that. There are characters that I feel like I really want to be redeemed, and I don't know if they're going to be redeemed yet. And yeah, I'm currently reading it on my iPad, but I really want a physical copy because I have so many notes and so many things that I want to highlight that I've highlighted on the ebook. So when I get my physical copy, I'm gonna like destroy that paperback with my notes and my highlights, and just, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I think the first thing that drew me in about this book is the writing style. I seem to always forget how much I enjoy reading from a teenage boy's perspective. I think I read a lot of books that have female protagonists and I like them, but sometimes I pick up a protagonist that is a teenage boy and it's written by a male author, and I end up really loving their writing style and their voice. And I don't know if that's just the types of books I'm picking up or if that's kind of the case with every male character, but I really like Henry. I think he's super blunt, and just there are some kind of, you know, teenage boy crude bits and like sexual innuendo jokes and stuff like that, but it's not as much as you'd think that it would be, and it's not as annoying to read. I really like how the writing style feels very raw, but also uses imagery ever so slightly and so subtly that you almost get a clear picture without them spelling it out for you. I haven't made up my mind about the other characters yet. We've met a character named Diego, and I don't really know much about him yet, but I'm hoping that I'm going to really like him. And then there's this other character named Marcus, and I have very high hopes for this character because I can see what kind of a teenage boy he is, and I want him to be better. I'm like in love with his potential, if that makes sense. Oh, I also forgot to mention, but I really love the exploration of grief in this novel. I know that a lot of people talk about this novel as a book dealing with depression, but I think it also deals with grief, and it deals with grief in a way that I haven't really seen much of it in other books. I've come to realize these past couple of months that I really like stories about grief, and I think this one is done really well because it's grief manifested into anger at some point, and I don't think we see a lot of that in media and books and stuff. It reminds me a lot of the Degrassi episode when Maya found out that one of her boyfriends like committed suicide or something, and she just got angry. And this doesn't happen quite like that, but I really like that it comes out every now and again, and you have to really like see it, if that makes sense. Like, it's not, nothing in this book is ever fully spelled out for you, and that's what I really like about it, because it shows that the author doesn't think that us as readers are stupid. The author thinks that we can pick up on signs and we can pick up on subtlety, and I really find that rare, especially in young adult. Okay, so I just got to this bit of dialogue between Diego and Henry, and Henry goes, "What if I don't give a shit about the world?" Diego grabbed our trash and frowned. "I'd say that's pretty fucking sad." "Why?" "Because the world is so beautiful." And that kind of dialogue makes me really love Diego, and I think it's a really good personality kind of grounding for his character, because I know the type of character he is. I know that he's going to be this like super positive character in Henry's life, and that makes me really like him as a character already, and we've just met him. I'm up to this bit in the novel where Henry and Diego are having this picnic and they have a telescope and it's really cute, and Henry finally tells Diego about Jessie, and oh god, it's so heartbreaking, but I love that he finally told Diego, because at one point I thought that Henry was just gonna like keep everything bottled up, because that just seems to be his character, but I like that he's opening up to Diego, because I hate those books that drag out this like miscommunication secrets type stuff for a very long time. So I'm glad that this book isn't doing that. I really just want my physical copy, because I just want to mark it all up. I mean, I've been doing it on the iPad, but it's not the same as like getting actual pens and highlighters and like so many great quotes. I might do like a montage of my favorite quotes at the end of this vlog. I just got to the part in We Are the Ants where Henry and Audrey finally say what their hearts are thinking, and I just finally, because I feel like they needed to have this talk, and yes, it would have ended up in a fight, and like there's just a lot of kind of negative thoughts going on in both of the characters' heads, but I just feel like they just needed to do it, and I'm so glad that it finally happened. It's not all that great now. This is, I think, the point, I'm all over the place, but this is, I think, the point where we see Henry as more than just a victim, because I feel like the first half of the book we're like, oh, poor Henry, and I feel kind of bad for Henry, and yes, Henry's life is shit, but I feel like sometimes there are things that he can do to change it, and I feel kind of bad for saying that, because I know that this book kind of deals a lot with depression, and he's dealing a lot with his grief and depression and bullying and all that stuff, and that's kind of a sensitive topic. But reading this, I kind of just, I'm very excited to see, like, I love Sean David Hutchinson's writing in this book, especially with the characters. I love how much time he takes to writing these characters, and not just Henry. Henry is the main character. Oh my god, my neighborhood is really loud. Henry is the main character, but I feel like he puts a lot more, like he puts the same amount of effort into Audrey's character to understand her more, and into Diego's character, and hopefully into Marcus's character too. I know that he's kind of a dick, but I'm rooting for him to have a redemption arc. So yeah, that's where I'm up to now. And also, I just ordered my paperback copy, and I hope it's coming to me soon, because I have a lot of notes that I want to write down, and they're all on my ebook at the moment, but I just want to like destroy my paperback, because that's the only way I show love. I just got up to the Thanksgiving part of We Are the Ants, and I absolutely loved that scene with Diego. I don't think I've swooned over a couple in a book in such a long time. Like, I read a lot of romance contemporaries, especially recently, and they're cute and I like them, and you know, like, I like them and I like that they end up together and all that stuff. But this one, there's just such a build up, and it's such a such a subtle build up to it. Well, in my opinion anyway, I kind of thought from the very beginning that Marcus was gonna turn around, but I don't think he's going to, and that kind of upsets me because it makes sense in the story, because I feel like this is very raw and very realistic of a book, especially with the topics that it covers. I really like what Sean David Hutchinson is doing, and so in order to make it a lot more authentic, you know, sometimes it's not a romantic comedy with people like Marcus, and I'm okay with that, I think. I mean, I still don't know because I haven't finished the book yet, but I thought that he was going to get a redemption arc, and it doesn't really seem like he does. I mean, he's showing signs of humanity, I think, which is a good thing, but yeah, I'm just rooting for Diego now because I just love him. I mean, I've loved him from the very start, but look what just came in the mail today. It's so pretty, and I was very much looking forward to annotating and highlighting and just marking the hell out of this book because I love it so much. But I have a little bit of a dilemma because my sister's birthday is next week, and I originally planned to get 2 physical copies of this book, but when I was ordering this, because I ordered this secondhand online, didn't have enough money to order 2 copies because I am so poor at the moment. I shouldn't be buying books, but my original plan was to just get this one for myself, and I wanted to get her like a new hardcover copy because I know she likes hardcovers, and then when I got a little bit more money, I would get her a physical copy from the store. Because I ordered this about like 2 or 3 weeks ago because it takes a really long time for it to get here, but I've been looking everywhere for just a paperback or hardcover, just any physical copy of this book around my town, around Sydney, and they don't have it anywhere. And the problem is her birthday is next week, and it takes about a week for stores to get it in. So I think I might have to part ways with this and give this one to my sister and then just order myself another copy later on. I think I mentioned about the whole Thanksgiving scene and how I really like that, but then afterwards it kind of made Henry spiral, and I kind of hated him for a little bit because all I wanted to do is just tell him to just talk to people, and I know that it's hard for him because of things, but he just frustrates me sometimes, but like in a good way. Like I don't think I've been this invested in a character's well-being in a very long time, and that's why I really love this book. Also, an update on Marcus, I kind of figured that that's how his character was going to go. I mean, I'm not done. I think I'm like 100 I think I've got like 100 pages left to go, but I like what they're doing to Marcus. I know I keep repeating this, but I love that every single character in this book is very human, and I think we've gotten to the sort of the end of the book, and so a lot of the characters are a lot more humanized, like with the mother and with Charlie and Audrey. And the thing with the mother as well just is kind of heartbreaking, because I know I talk about this a lot, especially with Gilmore Girls, but I really love stories about kind of mother and child type relationships, because I always weirdly unintentionally compare that to my own relationships with my parents, especially my mum, because one of my memorable kind of memories were around my teenage years, and me and my mum didn't have a great relationship during my teenage years, because again, I was a horrible teenager. And looking back now, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, she's, you know, my mum is still human. One of the things I love about this writing that Sean David Hutchinson does is that he makes the story from the perspective of the main character, but also you're able to see objectively how things are acted out and how things are meant and how things are seen from like a wider lens. I don't know if that was his intention. I think I just made a what? I don't know if that was his intention or if that's just kind of the way I read things. I don't ever really relate to the characters that I read about. I know that sounds really weird because I'm a big reader and a lot of readers relate to the characters that they're reading about, which is why they keep reading. But I think I more so empathize with the characters that I'm reading about, and I often read things because I want to know about their life and I want to know how they handle certain situations, but I never really relate to. I think the only two characters that I've felt like a deep connection and relatability to are Tiger Lily from the book Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson, and Cassandra Mortmain from I Capture the Castle. And I think that's why those two books are my favorite, because those were the only two times that I felt like I was reading about me. Don't get me wrong, I love all of these characters that I'm reading about. I can relate to them in like segments, but I've never related to a character in the way that other people relate to characters. Do you know what I mean? Am I making sense? I feel like I just said the word relate so many times. I don't know how to explain myself. I just really like that we're getting to the point of the book where we're able to open up Henry's eyes more to the people around him. And it's weirdly, like, this book has always been kind of depressing and kind of bleak, and that was kind of what I was afraid of from the very beginning reading this, because that kind of messes with my emotion, like that messes with my mood sometimes when I read books like that. The main character is so bleak and down and depressed and grieving and just hopeless. Just he feels so hopeless, and I was kind of hesitant to read from that perspective, but I like that throughout the book there is this sense of hope without it being over the top or overpowering or overshadowing the emotions and the events that Henry has gone through. I don't know how to explain myself. Honestly, every time I pick this book up, my heart just hurts, and it's almost like I don't want to read it because my heart hurts so much, but at the same time I do want to read it because it's such a beautiful book and it's beautifully written. I just got up to the part where Henry, Diego and Audrey surprised Henry's grandmother at the home with all the pictures and stuff, and I actually teared up. I don't usually cry during books, but yeah, it's I have no words. I don't feel like my words will do the book any justice. Alright, so I forgot to end the reading vlog, but I finished it a week ago and I absolutely loved it. I finally got my paperback copy in the mail and I'm very excited to go through this again and highlight all of my favorite quotes and annotate all of my notes that I wrote on the ebook version, and maybe take some Bookstagram photos with it as well, because it's so pretty and it's like one of my favorite books of all time. Definitely one of my favorite books of all time. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on We Are the Ants down in the comments below, because I really want to discuss. I think halfway through this vlog I kind of forgot to like mention specific parts and specific quotes and all that stuff, just because I just had a lot of feelings whenever I picked this book up, and like my heart just hurt every time I pick this book up. I think I mentioned it in one of my clips, but yeah, I definitely haven't said everything that I wanted to say about this book, so if you want to discuss it with me, feel free to do so on my Tumblr or down in the comments below. And yeah,